Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our webinar on recession-proofing your finances. My name is Carly Toney, and I am the graduate assistant at the Virginia Credit Union Financial Success Center at VCU. And I'm here today with Jade, one of our peer coaches at the Money Spot. Jade, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, guys, as you already heard, my name's Jade. I am a junior here at VCU and I'm a biology major. I joined the Money Spot to become a Money Spot coach because I wanted to learn more about finances, how to manage my finances, and how to do it successfully. And then I believe that it's my job to not only teach myself, but my family and my peers how to be able to do so as well so that everybody can have that opportunity to be financially successful.
So I'm presenting from here at VCU, which was built on the land of the Powhatan Nation. And today we're going to talk about recession-proofing your finances. So if you have any questions for us during the presentation, you can use the Q&A feature, and we'll also have some time for questions at the end. This webinar will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube page for future access by you or other students. So for starters, what is a recession? So in the United States, it's defined as a significant decline in economic activity spread across the market lasting more than a few months. So the economy goes through natural cycles of expansion and recession, some larger than others, and recessions can be caused by a number of factors, currently a global pandemic. So we see effects in income, employment, production, and wholesale retail sales. So one example of how the recession's been affecting my everyday life, I love these spicy sweet chili Doritos, the ones that come in the purple bag, but I haven't been able to get those since about March because Frito-Lay's is only making their most popular flavors right now. So you can only get nacho cheese and Cool Ranch. So just a small example of the little things that the recession affects as well. So why do we need to change our budget in a recession? Basically, less money is available. So recessions can include job insecurity, decreased spending, limited resources and funding, or income loss. So you or a parent may have lost a job, you might be getting less funding for school. So we need to think about how that's going to affect our cash flow since we have less money coming in.
All right, guys. So finding a balance. So today we're going to work together to learn how to start and create a balance and to balance our budget. So this will be known as your cash flow moving forward. So the best way to start to create your cash flow is by scheduling an appointment with the Money Spot for a more personalized and more in-depth opportunity to be able to create that cash flow, do it on Navigate, and you could just schedule it with one of us Money Spot coaches. We'll be happy to help, but we are going to just give you guys a general overview of how to do so. So let's get to it. All right, so what is cash flow? So I'll give you guys like a minute and a couple of seconds to type in the chat type in the chat and tell us what you think cash flow is. Okay, I see somebody says something dealing with money. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, dealing with money. So yes, cash flow basically is your income minus your expenses over a period of time. So that period of time could be maybe depending on however you do your budget, it could be a week, a month, a year, which is really drastic, but it just depends on you. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. So just remember that cash flow is your income minus expenses. So here we're going to teach you how to do a cash flow worksheet. So we have this at the Money Spot, which is our own personal workbook that we use for more in-depth and personalized appointments that you will schedule after this webinar on Navigate. But basically your income is going to be let's go with whatever money you make from a job that you have. If you get money from your parents, financial aid, if you have a work study, those will be your sources of income, or any other way that you earn income. That is going to be your source of income, and that's what you're going to use to be able to pay all your expenses and also save if you have money left over. So what you'll do is you're going to try to estimate how much money you'll make each month if your income is variable, and variable just means that it changes. And then you can use a monthly average. And when in doubt, always go for a lower estimate of income. So here we have a snapshot worksheet of our workbook from the money spot. So this part you'll see where it says income. So this is the tab where you will put the money that you would get from your parents if your parents give you allowance or they help out with giving you money. If you have money coming back from financial aid, if you know you're going to get a refund check, a regular job, if you actually have a job, even if it's part-time, you'll put this down, a work study, if the school offers you a work study. And then if you save money so that you can use it for school or any other like expenses, then that will go down there as well. And you'll put it in for each month. And so this is how you'll be able to track your income. And so next we have expenses. So what are expenses? And I'll give you guys a few seconds to comment in the chat below. And if you guys have any questions while we're talking, don't hesitate to ask. We don't mind. Okay, I'll give you guys a few seconds. Ha! Somebody said gas. Yes, that's that's definitely an expense. Not a fun one, but I mean, you got to get to where you need to go. So yes, so expenses are basically just money being taken out of your income. So we already got an example from a student. They said that gas is an expense. Another expense could be like food or utilities or streaming services. So it's just anything that you have to pay towards. So an expense is just whatever it is that's coming out of your income. And so here again, we have another snapshot from our Money Spot budget workbook where it shows you an expense tab. So with this, you're going to categorize all your monthly expenses. So there will be different tabs. So for an example, one tab will be bills. So you'll have your utility bills, your streaming services bills, your cell phone bill, insurance bill, all of those things. Then the next tab will be like food. So if you like meal plans, dining out, groceries, and then so forth. So you'll categorize each monthly expense so that way you know where your money is being pulled from and you can track it more easily. So does anybody know what a fixed and variable expense are? I'll give you guys a few moments to pop it down in the chat, whatever. And if you don't know, that's okay because we're here to help you guys.
So I see somebody's got in the chat, fixed stays the same.
Yeah, that's a good one. Spot on. Okay. So yes, so a fixed variable does stay the same. So it's basically the same throughout, depending on like when the bill has to be paid or whatever, the week, the month, it stays the same. So example of that would be like rent, that's going to be the same majority of the time, or really all the time, unless, you know, something happens. Insurance, subscription fees, things of that nature, like maybe even a cell phone bill, something that stays the same. And then a variable expense is going to be something that changes. So an example of variable expenses would be like clothes, because we don't buy, some people, well, at least like me, I don't buy clothes on the regular. So when I do buy clothes, it's going to be a different amount from then the last time that I bought clothes. Or another example of variable expense will be like food. You don't buy the same groceries all the time because you're doing different things. So those are just examples of variable expenses that will change throughout the time. So what you're going to do with your budget, you're going to start with your fixed expenses because these are the things that are going to stay the same. You know that this is what you're going to have to pay every month. Like every month, I know that I have to pay $114 for my phone bill. Yes, crazy, a lot of money. Like who does that? Like that's ridiculous. Somebody needs to get Sprint. But anyways, I know that that's my fixed variable. So I know that that's going to stay the same. And you're going to use that data from at least the last 3 months to estimate your variable expenses. So one of my variable expenses will be food. Sometimes I help my mom buy groceries. So it's not going to always be the same. And guys, don't think that I'd be buying like $200 worth of groceries. It's like eggs, bacon, and bread, like simple like that. And maybe some OJ if she's being nice. But you'll do that. And then if your expenses are different because of COVID, or, you know, they're not the same due to COVID happening, you might look at your expenses from last month and then maybe a similar time from last year and just average it out from between there. And when in doubt, estimate for higher expenses. And the reason why we say estimate for higher expenses is because you want to make sure that you're covering everything. So if you estimate higher and you actually don't have to pay that much, then you have a surplus, versus if you didn't estimate higher and you just estimated lower, then you'll have a deficit. And a deficit means you just don't have enough money to pay the bills coming out or the expenses that you have to pay. So that's why we say to estimate higher. And so now, what is cash flow? Or what is your cash flow? So is your cash flow negative or positive? And when we ask, is your cash flow negative or positive, we basically mean if you have a positive cash flow, that means you have a surplus of money. And a surplus of money means you have extra money remaining that you can use to put towards an emergency savings fund or just for savings for whatever goal that you might have in mind or that you might be trying to accomplish. And then if you have a negative cash flow, that means you have a deficit. You have more bills coming out than you have income to supply that. So basically just means you have less money to pay your bills. And so a way that you can fix your negative cash flow from being negative to making it positive, there's two things. You can cut back on expenses. And I know, guys, we hate that. We love our lavish luxury college things. But listen, again, we are college students. So therefore, a budget is crucial because if anybody has parents like me, my mom's like, girl, I'm not giving you no more money. So you better figure that thing out. So it's important to make sure, especially in a recession as well, to cut back on expenses because that's going to give you a surplus and allow you to put that extra money towards something else so that you can build your financial wealth. And then the second thing you'll do is increase your income if you can. So since we're college students, if you can take on a part-time job or if you can get your hours increased from that job and still manage your schoolwork and make sure that you're keeping those good grades, then those are perfect ways to increase your cash flow and turn that negative into a positive. Any questions so far? Because I know that was a lot. I'll give you guys like a minute to type your questions up in the chat. Okay, guys, don't be shy. You can ask a question. Okay, well, we'll wait. Go ahead, Carly.
Thanks, Jade. So even if your cash flow is positive during a recession, it's wise to reduce spending where possible to have more to save in the event of income loss. So nobody can predict the future, especially right now. So it's good to have that extra money because emergencies happen regardless of how the economy is doing. And right now, a lot of us are in a more precarious position with our employment than we usually are. So there are many ways to structure your spending. One good way is the 50-30-20 rule. So this idea is 50% of your income goes to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes into savings. Now we recognize that this is an ideal to strive for, and it's not always possible, especially when you're in college, and sometimes your needs might be a little bit more than 50% of what you have coming in. So remember to always make sure to take care of your needs first. And remember that saving anything is always better than saving nothing. So even if you can put $5 or $10 in your savings account a month, that's $60 to $120 over the next year.
Yeah. Carly, somebody had a question. They asked, is it okay, like if you can save more, like with the 50-30-20 rule, like if you can do a little bit more, is that okay? Or just keep it at that rule?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So your savings goals are going to depend on what your goals look like. So this is just an idea of, and if you have all your needs taken care of and part of your wants are to save, then that might be more of where your saving goes. And so at the Money Spot, we can take a look at your specific savings goals, your timing for those goals, and then how much exactly you're going to want to save to get there.
That was a very good question. Very good answer.
So we also want to think about our needs versus our wants, which I think you guys have had a pretty good idea of what these are. So needs, what you must have, wants, what you like to have. So examples of needs, the obvious ones: food, water, shelter, electricity. You probably need some form of transportation. Luckily at VCU, you can walk most everywhere. So for some free transportation with your feet. To an extent, you need some clothes. You maybe don't need the newest, best clothes, but you got to wear something. And especially in our virtual world, you need internet and probably a phone. So some of our wants might include those streaming services that we love, new clothes, video games, kind of our luxury items, having the best of the best stuff. And so it's okay to have things that we want. We just have to keep in perspective how much of our spending is going towards those things. So let's talk about emergency funds. So what are some scenarios that you as a college student might need an emergency fund for?
Somebody put in the chat, like maybe if your car breaks down.
Yep, that can be an emergency.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so just this past year, I fell down my stairs and broke my ankle, which was not something that I had planned for. So yeah, emergencies are just any kind of unexpected expense.
Oh, somebody else said laptop breaks. Yeah,
Yep,
whew.
that's a big one. Yeah, I mean, a laptop costs a lot of money. Most of us don't have that kind of money to just shell out. So we're kind of saving with the idea that we don't know what we're going to spend that money on. It's going to be something unexpected.
Yep.
Your ultimate goal for your emergency fund is 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So your cash flow plan is going to help you figure out how much do I need for a month? And then you can multiply that by 3 or 6 and get what you want for your savings goals. And again, at the Money Spot, we've got a sheet that can help you figure out, okay, exactly how much do I need to save each month to hit this goal? So if you're thinking, gosh, that sounds like a lot, I don't know if I can handle that, just start small. Start building $500, then $1,000, then 1 month of expenses, and build yourself up to where you get to that 3 to 6 months.
And also don't feel bad if you can't start with the goal 500. Like if you have to lower the goal, then do that. Just the goal, the whole purpose is to make sure that you have some type of savings in place and that you're just adding to it as much as you can. So that way, like Carly said, when those weird expenses come up, like if you break your ankle or your laptop breaks or car issues or whatever the situation might be, you have that cushion to fall back on into you. So
Yep, at the Money Spot, we're always thinking about SMART goals, so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. So we want to start with something that feels attainable to you so that you can feel like you can reach that goal, and then you have that kind of boost of, hey, I did that, and you can keep going with it. So a lot of you probably have questions about the CARES Act. So the CARES Act was passed in March and suspended payments and interest on federally held student loans through September 30th. So the most important thing for you to know right now is that if you have federal direct unsubsidized loans, they are not accruing interest at this time. And at the moment, we have very little information on what further legislation might look like. There's a lot of different bills being proposed and being looked at, but nothing finalized yet. So keep an eye on that. As a student, as a citizen, to kind of know what's going on with that and how that might affect you and your financial situation. So, and the final thing we want to think about is maintaining stability through recovery. So follow your cash flow plan through the economic crisis and into the recovery period. The recession will end and we will be in recovery. And we want to continue using our cash flow plan to prepare for the next recession. But cash flow is a smart tool to use at any time, not just during recession. So this is how we keep ourselves financially healthy during any time. And then, of course, we would love to see you at the Money Spot. Our peer coaches are available to help answer your questions and provide guidance on your unique financial situation. So you can make appointments through Navigate. And all of our appointments will be held virtually for the fall 2020 semester. You can follow the Money Spot on Instagram for updates on our upcoming webinars and other financial information. And if you have any questions that you didn't think of during this presentation, you can email us at themoneyspot@vcu.edu. So thank everybody for coming, and we hope to see you virtually very soon.
thank you guys.